No one needs to see you. The
What
first image needs to see you flex in the morning. That's what anybody needs. Good morning.
I hope everybody's had a great weekend. I am fantastic. I have had an excellent weekend, and I'm just in a pretty good mood today, which is nice.
That makes a change. Again, you're just like
whoa.
And flop. Like 1 week you're like you're wanting to die. The next week you're like, I've had the best time ever. Because if I spoke to you this time last week, it was a bit like, oh.
I mean, last week I wasn't feeling it. Was last week Island recovery? Because you weren't feeling
last week I was not feeling it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think both of us, last
I'm
week.
alive this week. Hi. How's it going? Morning, Xander. Morning, Tash. Morning, John. Morning, Debbie. Morning, Andy. Bases covered. Why did you have a fantastic weekend? Is that just general perspective or is that reselling perspective?
Actually, like a lot of it's just been really nice. Like I didn't have to get up for the boot sale on Saturday. It was rained off.
Mm-hmm.
We went to some absolutely garbage jumble sale. We walked in, and by the way, jumble sales are great because they say, "Oh, we're starting at 10." Guaranteed, there's 50 people in there by 10 o'clock. You are late if you get there when they say they're going to be
always there. Always a queue.
So we got there half an hour early to this one. There were 7 people in there, and they were selling Lego for £10 more than they were selling for on eBay. Like it was an absolute travesty. We walked in there, we laughed, we joked because it was a mess, and then we left. But then we got a bit of work done, and it was fine. Saturday was very average. It was a pretty mundane day. But Sunday, we decided we were going to go all the way out 45 minutes to my Wednesday and car boot and stuff. So we went to that car boot. We got there and it was all right. I was in my shorts and my little windproof jacket, and we were in barefoot Crocs, loving life. We were there for 10 minutes. The rain hit a little bit. The wind picked up a little bit and it got real cold real quick. We were there for about half an hour, picked up a few bits, and that was nice. And then we shot back home, went to another car boot that's more local that I completely forgot was on. Went to do that. And then what did we do after that? We went somewhere. We went to another jumble trail, which I got there 45 minutes early because I know from experience these jumble sales.
A jumble trail or a jumble sale?
A jumble sale, sorry. So it's like in a little community hall.
Yeah, because I've never been to a jumble sale. I've only been to a jumble trail.
The jumble. I'm telling you now. You know when people say, "Oh, when you go to a jumble sale, you've got to sharpen your elbows because the grannies love it." I am telling you now. And this sounds like I'm hating on grannies again.
Here we go.
No, I'm not. But I there are so many grannies that are so up there. Like they were walking into me and then looking at me like it was my fault. I was standing still. They bumped me, look at me, and go,
"What are you doing in my way?"
Like I'd done something. Honestly, and it was like carnage, bro. Like there was like 3 aisles around this thing. And you couldn't move. It was chaos. Anyway, we did quite well there. Picked up a few bits. That was lovely. And then I took the wife out, and we had one of the second best roast dinner I have ever eaten in my life.
Was it a Toby Carvery?
It was not a Toby's Carvery. There's a place in Ironbridge called Roma's, and they smoke all of their meat, and I think all of their food is cooked on smokers. And if I can get it up on the screen, I'm going to show you it because. Honestly, right, I paid £35 for this cooked dinner, but it had all the meats on it. And I'm telling you now, the photo doesn't do it justice. But like we had chicken, we had pork, we had a lamb shank. Yeah, there's potatoes, there's tender stem broccoli. I ate the Yorkshire pudding. I'm not a huge Yorkshire pudding fan, but this was incredible. There's some cabbage.
Okay, there is a thing that in fancy roast dinner places that they think the larger the Yorkshire pudding, the better the meal. They seem to put all their effort into making the largest, most obnoxious Yorkshire pudding you've ever seen in your life and being like, well, how can they deny the greatness of what we've seen the size of our Yorkshire pudding? And I would argue, I don't know how this is going to go down, that Yorkshire puddings are probably the worst part of a roast dinner.
I'm a fan. Right, Tasha's about to fight you, by the way. But genuinely, I agree. And
especially the ones the fancy ones. The actual shitty little warm up in the oven ones are better than the fancy ones. This is my stance, and this is what I will dictate. It's an easy four puddings is fine because they're normally the little ones. You fill them with gravy, and you got a little gravy boat, and you can float it around your meal, and then you eat it. But no, it's the Yorkshire pudding.
This is the same stance I have.
Is a disaster. They're a disaster, and they're abhorrent. I don't know what that word means, but they are.
But the really interesting thing is that these Yorkshires were maybe like like the bottom of a cup, like they were kind of like a little bit bigger than that, maybe. So I think they were a standard size, like a decent size. But if you wanted an extra one on your plate, £3 for one Yorkshire pudding.
£3.
£3. I mean, they were, don't get me wrong, they were good, and I ate the Yorkshire. So normally Yorkshire puddings, if we go to Toby's, you get the big fat ones. I'll get them on my plate and then just give them to Tasha because I don't care and she loves a Yorkshire pudding, right?
I like them. Hey, I like them. I just think that especially when they're that version, they are the worst.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, okay, this is fine. The Yorkshire pudding is fine, but it's when they get puffy and big and it's just like eating pure dry pastry.
It's not nice.
Pure, dry, airy pastry. Like that is what it is. But when you get the ones that have a bit of substance to them, a bit of the thickness to the walls, then you're having a good time. That's what I'm saying. The rubbish ones that you heat up in the oven are often better than the big fancy ones. This is the problem. I'm just not on board with the big fancy ones. They can die. The other ones are all right.
So one of anyway to roast So one of the reasons why I actually really enjoyed it is I actually took a conversation that I had with Debbie at 7 a.m. Club. And we were talking about the fact that when I have a day off, like a full day, I spend most of the day concerned that I'm not doing enough work because I'm like, oh, at this point I would have sniped this amount of items. At this point I would have done the photos. Do you know what I mean? Like this sort of thing. And she actually suggested to me, she was like, oh, well, why don't you do like a half day off so that it kind of breaks it up a little bit? So you do your work, you do everything you need to do. Yeah, so you can do a little bit of a half day. So yesterday, when it got to about 2 o'clock and we'd been to the Jumble Trail, we went to go and get some Gullians because Gullians are elite chocolate.
Don't even get started on this as well.
We're going to have this argument again. We went to Gullians. We went to go and get the cooked dinner. Then we came back and watched Happy Gilmore 2, and then we watched some YouTube, and then we went to sleep.
Apparently, it's really bad. Is it bad?
It's average at best. It wasn't great. It's definitely not better than the first one. It's not even in the same stratosphere, to be honest with you. But yeah, and I just really enjoyed yesterday as a whole, based on the fact that and you know what the best part about the whole thing was? I didn't think about work at all. I didn't think about the business. And that was the first time I've done that in a very, very long time. So that's why I feel like I enjoyed my weekend.
I'm happy for you. I'm still interested in the Jumble Sale. Because why do you think that's where the grandmas come out in force?
Because they've got it. Do you know what it is? It's because a lot of the Jumble Sales, they have like a lot of the crafting, cakey type things, and they promote that sort of thing. Yeah. And I feel that is sort of lending itself to the older people, like in general. But then when don't get me wrong, there was Bear Man with IKEA bags there doing exactly what I'm doing. But yeah, there was so many like just 50 to 60 plus people there that were elbows in, like barging into me and then complaining at me, and I'm like, I don't know.
The thing is, I probably don't care at all about what you're after. Like, even though it's really busy, like a lot of them probably don't care at all about what you're trying to find, which is probably really good news, to be fair. Because even with all those people, it doesn't really matter, if that makes sense. Obviously, you've got the other IKEAs, but outside of that, it probably doesn't matter too much.
I've got a question for you, though.
No.
If you're selling things for the price that we would be selling things, would you attend it to sell your things? A jumble sale, specifically?
Probably not.
No. So there was one stall there, and she was very young, probably, I would say, 20-ish, give or take a couple of years either side, to be honest with you. I don't know. And she had Ralph Lauren shirt, you know, the preppy blazers with like the badge and stuff. Yeah. But that blazer with the badge on, £75. And then there was some that were £120. And there wasn't anything on, even the Ralph Lauren shirts alone were like £22. So like there was nothing on her stall that was even remotely cheap. Like there was no margin for it. A lot of it was probably priced more than I would be pricing it for. And I find it interesting that, and don't get me wrong, you can do whatever you want in business, right? Like it is what it is. But sometimes there's an idea of targeting your audience, right? And trying to, if you're going to a car boot and trying to sell a jacket for £120, the likelihood is it's going to still be with you at the end of the day, right? Whereas if you put £120 jacket on eBay, you're more than likely to sell it before. Yeah. So targeting the audience. So it was quite interesting that she chose there to go. And I feel like it was a waste of energy. And she wasn't doing what I would be doing, which is I think what you said you were doing last week, which is go to these events and try and network for stock rather than for selling. You can showcase what you sell, but actually what you're doing is you're showcasing what you buy as well, and then doing the both. But I didn't see her doing a lot of that, and I kept a bit of an eye on her based on the fact that she was quite expensive, and I really wanted to see what her angle was. Pardon?
Bit weird.
Okay.
Hear that, Tash? She's keeping an eye on the young 20-year-old girl that's selling her clothes.
Okay.
I'm just saying. It's
But I really wanted to see whether she was trying to approach anybody else and trying to like do any sort of like comment. But she pretty much just stayed at her stall and just chatted to people that came up to her. I can't believe she's just written, honestly.
I won't read it out loud, but Tash has responded in the chat.
Yeah, I'm not. But yeah, I think it was just quite an interesting take, and I wonder if
the reason for that, I imagine, is probably she might be one of the like market type sellers, right? There's quite a few of them out there, and she might just not have known exactly what one of these events entailed, and decided for the first time that she was going to try it out. You know, she might be trying to find her feet. And for example, there was a woman when I did mine the other week. It wasn't fantastic, right? Because there wasn't a load of traffic. It was more an arts and craftsy thing. Yeah. I didn't really belong there as such. But there was a woman there who was doing cakes, and it was her first time selling her cakes. And she was basically trying out. She had some cupcakes. She had banana bread. She had like slices of like nicer stuff. And it was like she probably sold the most out of anyone, but realistically, it wasn't a great scene for her. And I bumped into her walking down the street literally last week because she only lives up the road, because she'd come here and she's friends with the person at the front. And I was like, oh, have you had any like uptake? Because she was like thinking about it. She's like, oh, do I go full time? Do I not go full time? Like it'd be nice to be able to make some cakes for someone or like something like that. I was like, you should really go to like a fair or a jumble sale or something like that, where you will probably just kill it. Like the demographic. I feel like having a cake stall just generally in the vicinity of a busy area is just a win. Like you're just gonna be successful if you're at a fair. If you've got little things to sell, little treats, stuff here and there, you're gonna win. Like there's no way you don't leave making money. And that's what I think. And I was like, for example, I was like, you are in the wrong place. And I was like, don't judge like how successful you'll be based off of what we just did. Go to one of these and see how it goes. And she was like, oh, but I don't know if I could think about making for that many people. Like, so it was kind of like she was in the middle. But basically, this girl, the girl you saw, probably it was somewhere in the middle, right? She was either she just started and she usually does them somewhere else, like for example, Xander said farmers markets or whatever, and he has his
Christmas markets are perfect.
Coming up, yeah, right? He has his clothing place where in the middle of a big market. There's loads of other places like that, right? Like there's the fashion and clothes places where all those sorts of people go to shop. Yeah. So maybe she thought it was something like that and she'd give it a try, and then maybe she'll never try it again because it probably wasn't her market.
But like Tommy said there as well, she's only got to sell £120 jacket if somebody really liked it. And then she's made her store money. Again, obviously depending on cost of goods and stuff like that, but realistically, like one sale probably kind of makes it. But I feel like if you're going to do that at that sort of place, you would be doing the thing that you did, which is trying to tell people that you buy these sorts of things more than actually trying to sell it to them.
Yeah, but you also, so one thing that I ran into is like you've also got to be aware of who you're asking. So this actually comes on to what I was up to last week at one point, right? Is well, firstly on my stall, even on that note, I had barely any footfall, but I'd sold 2 things, I think, and I made £55 or something like that, which is not bad for just randomly throwing up there. I didn't really have to do much, especially because it was like in my unit at the front. So it can be definitely worthwhile as long as you sell a few things. Like, and I was talking. Okay, I've got lots of things to say. We'll start with first things first. On Thursday, one of my people invited me to a swap meet.
Interesting.
And so basically, it was a party/evening wear swap meet. So everyone was encouraged to bring 3 items or up to 3 items of their own clothing. And basically, it worked kind of like a toast swap, where they then, depending on what it was, they got given a different rank of token. So there was gold, silver, and bronze. And if your item was like desirable and valuable, you'd get a gold. And if you was, less, as you scaled down, it got silver and bronze. And the gold, toast, it's like the level of token you get, the higher you can buy, right? The more value that token's worth. Whereas this, it was like priority. So they'd let the gold people in first to pick out what they wanted, and then the silver, and then the bronze. Anyway, my job there was to basically, I was 2 things. I was there the main job I was there for was to clear out all the stuff that they left behind. So I was just there to take it all, and then whatever I could give them for it, they'll give to charity or whatever it was. Anyway, this thing went from 6 till 10, I think. I rocked up at about 9:15, and I walked in, and it's me and 40 women.
That could be a great day for somebody.
I walk in, it's me and 40 women, and I see the person I know who's invited me, and she goes, "Hey everyone, there's a man in the room." I'm like, "Hiya." So I wanted to go early to schmooze a bit to see if I could, for the same reason, right? To see if I could get anyone there to offload their stuff to me, generally speaking. But what was very apparent when I got there was I spoke to a few people there. "Oh, are you the guy?" Because she had advertised that I would be buying the excess so she could give it to charity. And she's like, "Oh, you're the guy." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm the guy. This is what I do, blah, blah, blah." I was like, "How's it going? How's the event?" Typical stuff. And then I spoke to a few people, and then I went and looked at the clothing that was there. And I was like, not for me for the most part, right? Like I was looking at it, I was like, this doesn't seem like it'll be super worthwhile for me. And it was also, like an evening party wear thing, so it was very specific, and people were bringing all sorts of stuff. Like I'm trying to think, like you could get there was some Diane von Furstenberg or Furstenberg or however you say it. And there was a nobody's child dress that was quite nice. Aside from that, though, like there was My Story Paris. I've never heard of that before, but it looked all right. Anyway, I looked through it and I was like, okay, this isn't going to be the best time ever. But anyway, I carried on, and it got even more kind of weird because they had a catwalk, and where basically the people there, they had got dressed up from the pre-loved clothing. And then they did a little catwalk, and it was just me. So they were lying the edge of the room, with just me, and I was just there like clapping, like, "Yeah, let's go." It was fun to go. It was something different.
This sounds like great fun, by the way. Just from the outside looking in, that sounds amazing.
But yeah, I talked to a few people. I don't think I explained to a few people what I did. I don't think it really connected with that many people. And there was a woman there who was selling her own stuff. She had her own rail, and she had like lots of vintage and random bits and bobs. And she worked for EastEnders, which was quite interesting. She's on wardrobe for EastEnders. So her job is to go out and buy so EastEnders have lots of levels to it, right? Like there's the person that goes and buys the clothes, and the person that styles the clothes that have been bought, and then so on and so forth. But she's the one that goes out and buys stuff. She was explaining it, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. I thought about getting in contact with her, but because I'm very interested in wardrobe people in general, because I think they're going to get rid of a lot of stuff, like especially if you get nicer TV series or more elegant stuff, then they buy it all and then they have to get rid of it, generally speaking, if it's like a movie or a one-off show or whatever, rather than EastEnders, which is the longest running everyday thing in existence. So I didn't end up getting in contact with her, partly because I think she wanted to do what I was doing. hence the rail and stuff like that. And yeah, so it was interesting. At the end, I've got all the stuff. I've still got to sort through it. It's in the back of my car. I genuinely don't think there's going to be anything worthwhile for me. There was 2 people at the end who seemed more like they cared about clothing that got my number, and was like, she was like, oh, if I got a load of my friends together, would you be able to come clear it all out? And I was like, yeah, but generally speaking, like that's how I work. So we'll see. I don't know what will come for it, but basically the idea is like like these sort of things I view as networking opportunities, and you don't really know what the opportunity will be until you go. So, but it was interesting. It was interesting to see what was there and generally what the kind of vibe is of the room and stuff like that. But it was fun. And then off the back of that, just as my final bit is, so I've got a massive pile to my left of me, as you've seen, of clothes that I've been waiting to that I've been collecting to see what my car boot lady will take from me. For £3 a piece is what so it's not just cheap prices. It's that way because of certain reasons, but basically £3 a piece. I need her to pay for it, and she basically came through on Friday and sorted through it all. And I think she ended up taking 47 pieces out of the pile.
That's good. That's good.
You say that, but it was interesting. It was really interesting seeing what she would pick up for £3. And I'm left with a lot, so I'm going to go donate this all today and make a load of space. But yeah, a lot of it was like new with tags, high street stuff, or slightly nicer brand old stuff that I wouldn't sell, generally speaking. But yeah, it was interesting. So now I've got an idea of what she'll take for that price range, and I'm going to work with that. So that's big for me as well, which is quite exciting.
It's just finding little bits and pieces and trying to work out what everybody's going to take from you to monetize as much as possible, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's perfect. Now, if you've got some kind of understanding now, that's perfect. Though you're going to be able to work with it now a little bit easier, which is great. Great news for you.
Oh yeah! Also, my washer dryer have been delivered.
Did you get your little fixer bracket thing?
No, I actually have no idea where it is.
Oh, that was meant to get delivered the next day, right?
Yeah, that actually was meant to be delivered. Yeah, Tuesday or Thursday. I haven't got that, so then I'm gonna have to chase that up and find it. But yeah, that's what my week looked like last week, which was kind of interesting. That's kind of it, to be honest. It was a few interesting things going on. I think what this actually all means is that I think I'm on my last dregs of cross-listing everything, like probably my last one today or tomorrow, which means once that's done, and my washing machine
start listing again,
and my washing machine set up, it's time to get going again. Time is money. Please start the topic. It's all right. You can listen to it back and skip forward if you don't want to hear the fun part, but we will get to it right now. So
I was just going to say quickly is one of the reasons why I brought up asking about whether you would go to the places as this lady that was selling stuff for like £120 was do you think it's actually worth going to these types of places to try and build contacts? So like from a perspective of like she didn't do what I thought she would do, which is like what you said you would do. But like I was thinking to myself, like there is an opportunity to go to a lot of places like this. Like I don't go and sell at these places. I usually go and buy. But actually, I'm thinking about maybe is there a place for me to go and sell at these places, and then try and because obviously you get to set up. And there was a guy, by the way, who was the first guy there, like on the right hand side as you walk through the door, and he had an IKEA bag with like Dr. Martens and all sorts of stuff that he'd clearly gone around and bought before anybody else had got in when he was setting up. So like, is that a double whammy? Do I go in, buy from people that are already selling and setting up? And then I could go and talk to people and be like, oh, do you sell clothes? Do you buy clothes? Have you got many more of these? And try and do any sort of connection pieces in there. Because I don't ever want to sell. I hate selling at car boots. I hate selling at places like this. But then I'm thinking now, is that just me missing out an opportunity to go and speak to people that are clearing stuff out? Maybe they've got more. Maybe they're just doing clothes because they didn't want to bring all their electricals. Like all this sort of stuff. Like part of me is thinking maybe I should try and
I think there's lots of opportunity for it, right? It's interesting because we talk about going to car boots to meet people, but if you sold at a car boot, you probably meet a lot of people that want to, especially if you bought like different things that you wanted to test or find buyers for. It probably wouldn't be a bad shout to be at a car boot and try and sell your bits that you don't want and then see if someone comes up to fit the bill, which is quite interesting. I don't know how that would work, and obviously these places, like I went to get stock and also, have that sort of thing sorted. Like that's probably what I'd go for. Obviously, you can find. I also think there's a massive opportunity for in-person sales. Like this woman that was at the that had the stall. She was selling a load of stuff that I would never sell. Like I like it would not work for me. Whereas she's like, I had a pop-up shop here, and I was selling so much stuff. Like I was having such a great time. And she was like, I was doing a couple of grand a month. And I was like, that's fantastic. And I've thought about this before, right? Is that I genuinely think having a physical store and having a different clientele coming, or like having people see your items, allows you to sell a completely different strand of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like you've got eBay that sells one thing, but only through search. Vinted that sells another thing because people see it. And then in store or person, you can sell a whole nother thing for a different price range because people are there. So it's really interesting, in my opinion. I think there's a load of reasons it's worthwhile. But
I'm gonna have to start trying to go to these places to sell and see if I can do anything with it.
It's just a time sink, isn't it? That's the only thing. It depends what you're doing and if it makes sense wherever it is. But anyway, we're going worldwide, baby. Let's go. I thought we were talking about this yesterday, and we were talking. I was like, I came straight in with this title, and I think it's really funny. But we're like, oh, we could probably do like a really good title that will attract people to watch it and talk about Vinted in the thing and stuff like that. Blah blah. And I was like, it's funny to say it. We're going worldwide, baby. But if you haven't heard, if you live under a rock in the reselling community, the Vinted is UK anyway has just introduced international shipping / global shipping to the US and back. So not just one way for the most part. There's been a lot of talk about it, generally speaking. And
I knew somebody would know and they would reference the worldwide. But Benji, by the way, Tommy, doesn't have a clue because I asked him if he'd watched Step Brothers and he said he's heard of it but not seen it. And I said, you need to go and watch it. And I was going to do something about Prestige Worldwide, Tommy, and Benji didn't have a clue what I was talking about. But I'm glad you got the reference.
And for all the other people that have no idea what Chris is talking about, welcome.
Yeah. Oh, it's such a good film. Go and watch that.
So yeah, Vinted has just introduced international shipping, which starts today. Is it today?
So it's rolling. It's rolling out as of today. What I will say was really, really interesting. Just as a side note, is that a couple of people in the group have said that they haven't had the message yet, and then there's the people that have. So I'm wondering whether the people that get the message are the people that get rolled out. But there was so many people I saw that got the message that it seems like chaos if they're going to pick and choose, or they've picked quite a lot. I don't know. It's really interesting that some people haven't even seen the message yet.
So it's for Black Bag. It's for both, I think. Well, generally speaking, it hasn't been specified, but I would assume based on who got the message that it would be both. And it would be covering both bases. And it said, I don't understand, especially considering the casual user base of Vinted, that their priority would be to allow people to buy internationally, like their casual buyers to buy internationally. That's going to be the bulk of their sales. So it could be just the pro accounts selling, but I don't even think they have pro accounts in the US, do they? I can't confirm. I
cannot confirm more than I'm unsure of whether the US has pro. I'd imagine they do, but
I don't know because it's so small that like 200,000 active users. I don't know if they would have pro yet. But we'll see. But yeah, I assume it will be rolled out to everyone. Generally speaking, I don't see what the problem would be with letting casual buyers sell internationally, because it's the exact same process, and all they need to do is slap a label on it and get it to Vinted, who will then handle the international side of things, is what I'd imagine, right? Like, what else is going to be the problem? Have you checked? I don't even know how I'd check. I guess you're looking for labels, right? Or you're looking for, I don't know, because it says on their profile if they're international or not, but there's going to be so minimal US sellers that you won't be able to see very easy.
So apparently you can see if you go to their profile.
Yeah, exactly. But you have to find a US profile first, which is going to be
exactly. Yeah, you have to randomly come across something you wanted to look and then find a US profile. It's not going to specify it when you're searching through.
So Jay says US does have pro. So that means that realistically speaking, it could just be pro accounts if they want to trust them with that. For what reason?
My eyes, because of the way that Vinted has always been against businesses and more towards the casual. So, and also, I mean, I got that message on my personal account. I know people that have got it on their personal and their pro account, and realistically, I don't think it should matter personally.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I agree. I don't think there's any reason why they wouldn't do it for both accounts. I think it just makes the most sense. Like the thing is, can you opt into GSP if you're on a private account?
I don't know.
On Google time.
Google it. Come on. I'm pretty sure you can.
I'm thinking you must be able to.
I know somebody on a private account that sells, and I'm pretty confident they can send GSP. So I believe you can, but it's after a certain amount of time. Obviously, same with us, right? You have to be at a certain standard. So yeah,
you can. So yeah, I don't see. I'm on my account now. I don't think there's. Again, it's literally just started today, and it's a rollout, so I don't know if it will be on your account yet. So again, take your time, and like you'll see it as it kind of comes along. But I don't know what the obvious way to be able to check is. One, the only thing I can think of.
I can't share. I don't know how to share my screen on here.
There's the screen rectangle with the plus in the middle at the bottom middle.
Can you see that or not?
I can. Yep.
So literally just there, like on any of the searches, it just shows. Look at the big bit on the right hand side. It just says soon shop sell with the US members. Like, so that it literally is just in your face right there. So, again, I think that I know this is I know people that sell on private and people that sell on pro, and both people have got this message come up on there. So realistically, should be blessed. And then obviously this is where it gives you all of the information about all of the details with it and stuff.
So by the looks of it, we had an emergency meeting on this in the group on Friday, because obviously it dropped Friday, and we were like, we need to talk about it now. Yes. And for the most part, the terms and conditions of it generally look pretty good. It seems to be the exact same process. They're going to cover VAT for the moment, import VAT, which is nice. They did say for now, which I think Tommy said a second ago. Yeah, for now, which is ominous, because that at some point you will have to cover your own fees, which I think is fair, to be honest with you. I don't know why the hell they would cover your fees for you. That just, unless they had a deal somehow that made it like viable. But outside of that, like, it's completely reasonable if you want something imported from the US that you'd have to pay your own fees on it. So
1.2% extra fee in general, anyway, which is the conversion. So any purchase you make will be 1.2% more expensive anyway, which to be honest, it's pretty minimal in general, to be honest with you.
They also said it will take 7 to 8, like what, 5 to 8 days or something?
8 days if I look.
Which is rapid. And if you compare that to GSP, that is absolutely rapid, because GSP will take like a month to get to you.
Yeah.
And it's so cold, I've got like dragon's breath. So yeah, it's generally looks pretty good. Now, few things on the back of this. Firstly, it's with the US, which is fine, but it's also the smallest market they probably could have picked in the dominant markets they have.
So when it got announced, we were in the 7 a.m. club in the group, and I said the words, which are, they probably picked the US because it is the smallest market, so they can get a better understanding of testing. And also it's a big difference between the UK and the US, is a big gap. And they've been able to work the European one. So now if you're in France, you can sell to Spain, Germany, I think, and stuff like that. So they
Kaylee did some research on this.
Okay.
And she did say I could steal it, so this is allowed. that not all countries in Europe can send to the other countries in Europe.
Can they not? I thought it was all integrated now.
They are like sectioned. So, for example, like obviously I think this is a Lithuanian company, isn't it? I think Vinted, and started in Lithuania. Like Lithuania can only send to like Poland, and Germany can send to like Poland and one other place, and then France might be able to send to Italy and Spain or something like that. But they're not. It's not completely integrated. Like, so we're talking about the fact that, you know, oh, why not Europe? Like, they've all got it set up or whatever, and we just need to add us to the system. And also, for example, Ireland, like not Northern Ireland, Republic of Ireland, can send to France. And they got set up. Apparently that got set up after us. Like Ireland got set up after us, and obviously Ireland is still part of the EU, so that's probably why for the most part. But yeah, they started later than us, and apparently international sales were integrated straight away, which is really interesting compared to us. I think the US is an interesting one, and it's interesting that again, people have said this, that it's easier to deal with shipping to the US. Oh, we're weird now. It's easier to deal with shipping to the US back and forth than it is to deal with Europe now because of our status not being part of the EU. And yeah, Tommy, a large part of the fact that we can't deal with any countries for the most part in Europe is because we're not in the EU and they hate us. But yeah, so the US, in terms of like opportunity and reasoning, right? You said it just there, that because it is the US and it is the smaller one.
But also from obviously inside the group, we've heard a few people talk about some American sellers and stuff like that, and they are now hearing radio ads for Vinted. They're seeing billboards in New York for Vinted. They're seeing commercials for Vinted in general. So there isn't, although I said it's the smallest market, it might also just be their way of trying to push the US market as well. Oh, now you can combine it with the UK, etc., and then build the US market up at the same time as testing and kind of hit it as a double whammy. And let's be honest, everybody who knows anything about business, it doesn't matter what country you start your business in. If you get it and you make it in America, you are doing pretty well, because America is such a vast country with so many people. Realistically, you only have to hit like 20% of that country and you're making some pretty good money.
That's a lot.
Exactly. Do you know what I mean? So realistically, like it in America, they might only have 200 users right now, but that could be 1 million in 6 months' time.
200,000. 200. You said 200 users. 200,000 users.
Yeah, I meant 200,000. So it's like 200,000 users, but that could be 1 million by Christmas if they do the marketing correctly and they get it right and people have a good experience on it, and all that sort of stuff. They could really push it really quickly, and they've been making enough money, well, from at least what we've seen from the figures, to really put some ads in America. And let's be honest, we all know Americans love ads and stuff, so they'll probably lap it up.
I mean, it's interesting, right? Like I agree with you. I think this is done as a very deliberate push for them to help them market to the US a lot. And the US like a lot of British things, generally speaking, and like some of the designer we have over here, even in the men's side of things, they like the suits and stuff like that. It's a good marketing opportunity. But on our side, right? What are the benefits of the US ever? Obviously, sales wise, it's not the biggest benefit in the world because they don't have the users right now. Compared to like how dominant it is in like France, like Vinted is way bigger than eBay. That's something we'd love to take advantage of, right? That's going to really help us probably make more sales.
I think it's positive from the sense that if they can nail it and get it right, then it means that, and they do it quickly, then I feel like we'll get pushed into the other avenues. I don't know how they're going to work it and where they're going to put us in the bracket. It'll probably be France and Ireland. Can we sell to Ireland on Vinted right now? I don't think we can we?
Sell it on Depop though.
Yeah, so I wonder if maybe Ireland or France and whatever countries are connected to France would probably be the ones that we would be able to get to, which is a positive. I think that's more of a positive move. Some of the price caps on the US, like selling or buying from the US, is interesting at £120-ish, I think it was.
That's also listing US buy. It also multiplies the searchable list. That is a massive point, actually. That's actually a very good point that Jay's just made. Is not only on the marketing front is it good that they can buy from the UK, but when they're searching on Vinted, the US will see all our listings and it will look like a busy platform.
Yeah, that's also a huge show. But actually, the thing that I am the most interested in is obviously being an avid sniper, and 95% of the stock I get is from Vinted, I would say, probably even a little bit more. It's going to open up more brands that are common in America, less common over here, that still has some value over here, and stuff like that. So I think it is going to open us up for that. And then obviously the other way is that we have a lot of brands over here that are, well, not a lot of brands over here, a couple of brands over here that Americans love, like Barber and stuff like that. So we'll be able to sell some of that over there as well, which will be fantastic. But in general, I'm super interested to see how it impacts my sourcing more than anything, because
I think that's the biggest opportunity. Like, I think that's such a fun opportunity. I think like the snipes you can get on like maybe some Ralph Lauren stuff, or like the cooler stuff that you don't really get over here, or even Carhartt.
Oh, Ralph Lauren in America. Oh yeah, they have some cool.
Exactly. They're gonna have some unreal stuff.
Yeah.
The thing I would say, the really bad thing. So obviously that's a benefit for them, right? That there's going to be thousands of listings. For us, it's a nightmare. Because so what I've seen is that there's no way to turn it off. No. So even when you start, but like these things are.
I've heard this argument a lot, right? But why would you want to turn it off?
Because it would be an absolute disaster for sniping.
Yeah, but let's just ignore the sniping.
I'm on that right now. I'm not going to ignore it right now. That's my point. Is all these things are going to be integrated into like straight into your feed, right? So if you're a sniper and you want to go fast, it says you only get to find out the final price and when you get to checkout. So if you want to buy something fast and you want to click through it and suddenly it's in America and there's like a 20% extra cost to get it to you, you're going to be like, well, this is, and it's happening a lot. Like, and it's happening a lot. It's going to ruin your life. Like it's gonna suck. You're gonna have to be. There has to be ways to recognize it faster, because it's just gonna take so much emphasis out of how fast you can move and how often you'll be tricked.
Also, Vinted don't care because they don't like people that snipe.
Of course, I didn't say they would.
They're not going to make your life easier. The actual best way to do it would be to put, when it says in the top left, pro.
Mm-hmm.
If they had a flag underneath that just had UK and Australia and all the other countries, just yeah, that would be a perfect way to differentiate so that you can get a speedier understanding. But also, sometimes, like, depending on whether the American people have put the right size in for like the weight and stuff, like realistically, there might still be some bargains in there and it still might be worth it.
There definitely will be. It will just be like the confusion of looking at prices and seeing them as what you expect them to be when they're not is going to be a pain. I think I don't know what the shipping costs are to America. They think they've generally. I don't think they've stated, have they?
They've not said anything, no.
So we'll see.
Interesting. Something I thought about as well as what Tash said is we obviously put all of our parcels as small, but if we send them to America and they're small, they've got customs and stuff that are going to cause all sorts of issues, I reckon, if they're not the correct weights. So that could be interesting.
The only reason I think that we put it as they do small, medium, and large. So obviously here though is mainly for lockers that they did do. But I will see, because I think again they'll get it to their hub and deal with it. Like I don't see, like, as long as we get the item to them with whatever packaging we want, they'll then deal with customs of whatever the item is, and I'm assuming that they'll sort it. So we'll see, but they could be stricter. Kelly said it might make pricing things harder if you go off Vinted because you can't turn it off like you can on eBay, and the markets are so different.
True. Yeah, that's a good share as well.
Very true.
If you're Vinted, it's hard anyway, but that will just add an extra factor to it.
Pricing of Vinted, it is difficult, but we're not with. You got methods for it, right?
Yeah, there's ways of doing it, but
still, if you're trying to understand the market and get a gist of things, it would be such a pain. I also think when you're shopping as well, that just as a normal buyer, right, you don't want to be constantly surprised by prices. Like you want to see what the price is, and then
What?
put a imagine putting a bracket in. Imagine putting I don't want it to be above this, and then you go to buy it, and suddenly it's like double. Because
just if from a sniping perspective, right? We're talking about sniping now. You know the brands that most of the snipers buy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are those brands common in America? So
No.
we see them a lot in America. So actually, our job wouldn't be that difficult if we're sniping. If we were looking specifically for American brands, that makes more sense why it would be confusing. But actually, I don't know if Americans wear Roshka, or have they ever heard of it? Who knows?
I
wonder how much will be impacted. And don't get me wrong, obviously, like they might sell some Barber and bits and pieces if they've got some lying around, and that might be a little bit here and there. But in general, I don't. A lot of the brands I snipe, I don't think I'm going to see. Other than maybe Ralph Lauren would be one of the ones that would be super difficult. I mean, Kaylee's going to know better than us, but I wonder how many. I know she said Bowden's relatively big in America, and toast. I sold a few bits of toast to America, but it'd be interesting to see how common they are to sell that are selling in America, if that makes sense.
The other thing I'd actually say as well, right, is if you do look at, like, if you want to look from a business perspective again, if you're looking at GSP, right, where do most your international sales come from?
America, yeah. Mine are actually America, Germany, and Italy. Like Germany and Italy are behind, but they're relatively close to each other.
Mine is heavily America. Like the US, generally speaking, the people that buy the most from us. I think that's probably because it probably reflects the size of eBay a lot, to be fair, in correlation with that. But they are the biggest buyers, and America are big consumers, like big consumers. So if it, again, like you said, if they get it up and running and it gets to working, and Vinted is a semi-decent platform. It's a semi-decent platform. I say semi-decent only because the fear of them messing this up somehow is a concern, because again, obviously we have our own problems just in the UK alone, let alone internationally. I also, we talk about strict packaging. I don't know how they're gonna, like, I think someone said this, I don't know if it's you or someone else, how they're gonna deal with the Tesco bag or bag wrapping. I don't know what they're going to do with that internationally. I don't know if they're going to repackage
T-shirts wrapped in, like just the cardboard box of a coffee pack, like the instant coffee packets.
Yeah.
T-shirt wrapped in one of those. Imagine sending one of them to America.
I wonder if they're going to reject stuff when it gets to.
They will. Because I guarantee they're going to reject stuff from America to America. They'll reject stuff 100%.
I wonder, like, if you haven't sent it right and it gets to the global hub and they're like, nah, mate, because they can't be sitting there repacking everyone's stuff. No. They might, but I don't know. I just
can't imagine to, and then realize that that's an idiotic thing to do, and then just be like,
they normally do need to check it, don't they? So I don't know. The returns work basically on the fact that the normal way. So you're covered by the buyer protection and stuff like that in the normal fashion. And then basically the only return reason, which is generally what Vinted say, is significantly not as described. So if you really did mess up like with the item, or you send them the wrong item, or it has a hole or a rip or a tear or something, that will be returnable in the same fashion, I imagine. I don't know if it will be, like, obviously at the moment they give us the option you can pay or they can pay for returns. I don't know if it will be the same. I think
it doesn't state that it'll be, whether it's different.
I don't know why it would be different, because you can do that on eBay, right? Unless the only thing on eBay is if it's not as described, then you have to pay. But on Vinted, that's not the case. Even if it's not as described, you can still make them pay, which is crazy.
In America, if you're selling to America or buying from America, let's be honest, nobody was going to want to pay that shipping again. So realistically, if you're returning something, you're going to have to pay for the shipping back as well.
The other thing, I don't know if this is what Tommy asked, but I just saw pay and it reminded me. Will Vinted still pay both buyers out when things inevitably get lost in tracking info? I assume so. We'll see. This is going to be a lot of we'll see, right? But basically what they said is, hey, this is going to work the same. And then it's just going to look a bit different when we get there. But paying. So this is a big thing, is that obviously on our account, you have to wait till the buyer receives their item and then 3 days, right? On private accounts. Then we're going to, if you have a pro account, then you have to wait like 2 weeks. anyway, and now you're going to have to wait for it to get shipped to America and then extra time on that. So you sell your item, you're not seeing the money for like a month.
Yeah.
Which is mental. And apparently people are kicking up a fuss about this, like on socials and stuff like that. And they're like, I'm leaving the platform. I'm never going to sell on it, which is just ridiculous. It is interesting. I don't know how they'll work it. I assume it'll probably work the same just because they won't want to change stuff, I imagine. And if you sell to internationally, then you sell internationally. But I'd say the main thing with that sort of thing is have a good turnover of stuff. So you might, even though the thing you just sold, you won't get your money for 3 weeks. You should have had stuff that's been selling that's going to cover you for, for that period and keep it rolling and rolling and rolling. Surely Vintage has eBay need to check what's in the package. If it's full of drugs, it's incentive. Yeah, that's just what I thought as well.
But that would be customs job. It wouldn't be eBay or Vintage job.
No, I don't know. I think they'd legally probably be partly liable because they're the ones sending it internationally. So I think they probably do repackage everything. I'm not sure. Did GSP repackage everything? This is what I was thinking.
No, not that I know of.
Do they scan it? Do they like have an X-ray or something like that?
It has to just be the
Does anybody work for the global shipping program? Tell us what your day-to-day looks like inside the hub.
They only, as far as I'm aware, they only repackage stuff that has been damaged.
Maybe. Again, I don't think it would make logical sense to repackage everything, right? It would take way too long. What aside from this, so obviously there's a side of money. Could be better if there's no problems. They do random checks overseas and open if open repackage. Yeah. Okay.
It's a custom. It has to be a customs job. eBay can't. eBay and Vinted can't. You think about how many thousands of parcels go every single week to GSP. There's no way they can repackage everything. It makes no sense.
Yeah, it'd be very time consuming and costly on their part.
Yeah.
What else is there in terms of like this side of things? So what's actually?
Do you think it would make because obviously there's a lot of people that solely sell on eBay, and there's obviously a lot of people now that are solely starting up businesses and doing it through Vinted. Do we think this is going to be the same level? Because obviously Vinted in the US, obviously we all know isn't as big at the moment, but like as it grows and stuff, do we think that this makes Vinted even more viable platform to have a business solely from? Like, is it going to make that much of a difference? Do we think?
Well, I think so. This is the big thing, right? So again, this is all reliant on the fact that it needs to work well, and they need to be able to grow that base in America. But this is what I was saying earlier when I was slightly dissing off Vinted because they haven't got, they have problems. But Vinted is a great platform to use, generally speaking. Like it's very easy to adopt, and if you're American, then. And they see it. I don't know how it compares to for the likes of Mercari or Poshmark. I know they're a bit similar, and Poshmark reminds me of Depop kind of. But I'd say Vinted is an even better platform for that. So if they can get Vinted in front of people and really get them using it and having people start talking about it, I don't see why it wouldn't pick up. And then if it does pick up, then an absolutely massive threat. Like I don't understand. Like again, Vintage still need to iron some stuff out. The one thing that Vintage seem to do, which I think would solve a lot of things, is all they need to do is, hey, we're taking it down for maintenance, right? So just a message, right? Like that's the one thing they don't do is just whenever they're changing something, they don't tell anyone. They just strip it away from you randomly and everything goes to shit for a while instead of just being like, hey, between this time and this time, we're gonna.
You know why it's easier for them to do that though? Because the only people that actually notice, the people like us, the more casual users don't notice that Vintage's down. They don't look and go, "Oh, the newest item I can see is 3 hours ago, so Vintage's messed up right now, so I'm not going to list." They just list regardless. So actually, the percentage of people that message is going to benefit is so small to them that it just doesn't make any sense for them to put an outage in there. It would just be good customer service if they did, but they're not going to because it makes no sense to them.
As Ricky said, especially if you start to rely on the US sales and then suddenly you have to pay VAT and import tax. Yeah, but Tommy, you wouldn't have to. It would be VAT and import tax on stuff you buy. So if you're saying unless you're not relying on US sales, like they'd have to deal with that themselves.
Yeah, they get all the sales tax and stuff, don't they?
So we wouldn't be paying the VAT and import tax for them to buy our stuff. That would be crazy. So there'd be no problem. Like I say, it'll be hard to rely on US sales.
You're never relying on US sales.
You expect them to make up a margin of your business.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think there'd be no problem with that. Like if you could find stuff in the UK, like imagine finding a niche in the UK where you know that no one cares about it, but it sells like hotcakes to the US. And you can just plow out that thing that no one values and just pump it into the US over and over and over again. That'll be sick.
I can't remember what it was. It was about a year ago, but I sold something to the US and I was chatting to the buyer. And the craziest thing was that they were saying, because of my price was for the UK market, right? Mm-hmm. For this item. And they said, because it was so cheap for our standards, right? He said it was actually cheaper for him to buy it from us in the UK through GSP, pay all the fees that he needs to for that, than for him to buy it from anywhere else in America because of the postage and stuff. So if you can find items like that we can sell we can still make a good margin on, and is going to be cheaper for them to buy from us, even if it is like a more American brand, then we're going to be killing it. But obviously, that's the hard part to find it.
The reason you can't generally do that on eBay though is because of how much fees they actually charge. Like they charge ridiculous. Whereas by the sounds of it, this doesn't seem like it'd be that crazy. Hopefully, we'll see.
I'm really intrigued to see whether, because this could kill GSP on eBay. If like not kill it, but like most GSP orders are like 30, 40 pounds sometimes, like extra fees to get it through GSP. If it's only 10 or 15 on Vinted, like that's crazy.
I mean, you could encourage people to go check it out somehow.
Yeah, I don't know how you would do it, but
like, please go buy from here because you'll get cheaper fees and I'll get no fees. I don't know how you do that.
But I don't know how you. Yeah, I don't know how you get away with that because eBay are pretty hot on that sort of stuff. But
the only thing I'd say, like with customized items, is that you can't sell them as the brand they are. For the most part, you can sell customized items as your own thing, but if you're trying to sell customized items as the brand, you will get copyright, not copyright strike. What am I looking for? Vero type things, because you're selling something that isn't the brand's original property as their original property. If that makes sense.
Is that on Vinted as well?
Well, Vinted look like you get away with all sorts of things, but that's you're not meant to be able to do that by any means. For example, if you should, have you been following the 1 to 1 million pound series by Calix?
Do you know what? Because it's on Instagram, I've been really lax with it because I'm not on it, and I'm not. I need to sit and watch them all, but I know I'm so far behind now that it's really crazy.
I mean, so basically, his missus is selling custom Polo Ralph Lauren shirts.
Yeah.
And she's like doing them, and she's selling them, or you need to sell them as like unbranded for the most part to allow that to legally work. But again, Vinted will let you get away with whatever.
On eBay though, there is a section that says like the item's been customized. No, so can you not just do it that way? Because there is this item customized, and you can click yes, and as long as you put in the description that it's been customized, like this is an original Polo Ralph Lauren shirt, but I've turned it into a dress with a belt, and I've added the belt. The belt has nothing to do with Polo Ralph Lauren. Surely there's no reason why you can't do it, because otherwise, why would they add the customized section?
I'm not sure on the legality of that, to be honest with you. But Xander said Patagonia will send you cease and desist letters for reworks.
Carhartt can also do that because I'm fed up of seeing them.
There's so many. There's so many Carhartt reworks. It's absolutely crazy. You go to any wholesaler, they're like, oh yeah, Carhartt bundle, Carhartt jackets, and they're all just reworks, but they've just stuck on a patch. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. The badge is original. The rest of the jacket is not.
Yeah,
nothing to do with that.
Tommy makes an interesting point here. Will be some huge money in the invite friend feature in the US. If you have US viewers, etc., get that code over there and get it signed up on Vinted. You'll get £5 when they sign up, more when they sell.
Yeah,
that's like the whatnot epidemic all over again. That's actually massive. If you can take advantage of a big US audience, and I'd recommend people in Text Group look at that, to be honest with you, and try and get your codes over there. For anyone that wants to sign up and get a shit ton of money in, if any of you are in here.
I got like a full-on American t-shirt. This is cool.
Oh yeah. But yeah, that would be really, really good money. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I think in terms of if it's going to kill eBay off in the GSP or whatever, nah. I just think because it's so big in the US already, like it's gonna. I don't think they're gonna. They might, like they have here, but eBay is so much bigger in the US than it is here. Like
I wonder, it's quite interesting, right? When you look at the markets, like we've said this a lot of time in the group, but like the markets from the buyers and the sellers is very different from eBay to Vinted. Like you can see a distinctive difference is the word I'm looking for. Distinctive difference between the two. And I wonder if Vinted and eBay will have a distinctive difference in America on the user base and the buyers. Yeah, like or whether it would just be the same people.
Maybe
like,
we need to get an American on here and talk to them about their buyer profiles of people that buy on eBay. So, for example, over here, young people don't really buy on eBay in the same way that they do on Vinted. Like that was a big demographic that kind of swung it in Vinted's favor and got it being popular and trendy. So I don't know if that's the same on eBay over there, where young people don't buy on eBay. They buy maybe on one of the other platforms, like maybe they buy on like Poshmark or Mercari or something like that. But we'll see. Again, there's so much we'll see. But it'll be fun to check out like what happens, how it's going to go, who's going to be impacted. Is eBay going to take a tumble? Will it die a horrible death? Is everyone going to jump ship? Will they be able to send global shipping properly? Who knows?
It doesn't look like we're going to have that much longer to find out because it is rolling out.
It should be this week, right? So
realistically, we're going to be able to tell you by next week. Hopefully, if everybody has it, we're going to be able to tell everybody.
You assume that it will come on time. So you assume it all will work and be implemented smoothly. So we'll see how that goes. There's probably just one person right now with the ability to send globally. That's it. There's one guy somewhere who doesn't even know he can send it. And he's just sitting there like with the only access to the US shipping program. And
he doesn't even know it.
But yeah, if you want to stay updated and get the latest news and gossip, come and join the reseller group. We have Vinted call every single week and emergency calls when necessary for something like this. 7-day free trial should be in the link down below. Don't know if he's put it in there.
It is.
But yeah, we will see, and we're excited. It's exciting. It's exciting times, generally speaking, because I think a lot of people like was gripe with Vinted was like, oh well, they don't have the ability to send internationally. That's such a win in eBay's favor, and now it's coming. They're coming.
I think it's the last piece of the Vinted puzzle. Realistically, like if you look at what they've done compared to what eBay have done, like this is the last finishing. Like once they can get it so that we can sell to France and other places like that, that is the last bit. And one thing I just want to say quickly before we leave is that I've only been selling for 3 years. Like selling for 3 years. And obviously things have changed so much since 10, 15 years ago, right? But I don't feel like, or at least from my knowledge, I don't feel like reselling has changed as dramatically as it has in the 3 years I've been involved. That it's ever like it feels like everything's crazy.
It's all thanks to you.
No. But like, I just think that the last 3 years seem to have gone like crazy. Like the amount of things that have changed like over this 3 years is wild compared to when I first started. And I feel like everything was like stagnant before that. But again, I wasn't really in the community then, so I don't know. But this last 3 years has been mind blowing how much has changed.
Yeah, it's still developing rapidly, right? Like there's still
the next 2 to 3 years are going to change even more and more and more. So
best keep up.
Times.
You best keep up. But thanks everyone. Hopefully we'll be back next week with an update on how successful Vinted is or that it's terrible.
I'll go and find another roast dinner that's incredible, and we'll tell you all about that next week as well.
Bye.